There could be monsters under the house you're thinking about buying. So you may want to do this. You may want to share this video with anybody you know that's thinking about buying a house right now, or anybody who's got one that thinks they have foundation problems or maybe a leak under it. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on anything. The sewer water test. Now the state of Texas has things in certain contracts where they call what is really a sewer water test a hydrostatic test. And they say if a plumber does a hydrostatic test and he damages anything under the house, he has to pay to make the repairs. Well, if you know what a sewer water test is and a hydrostatic test, if you know the difference in them, you understand a hydrostatic test actually applies external pressure. Now, a sewer water test does not, but everything starts with a sewer water test. If you think there's a leak under your house, or if you're buying a house, you need to do this, and it's very important. Now, make sure you hang around to the end, because I'm going to tell you the most expensive repairs that we've done that actually the homeowner didn't do this beforehand, and they were stuck with paying for it later. So a sewer water test is not the same as a hydrostatic test. A hydrostatic test, even though that's what a lot of people call the sewer water test, a true hydrostatic test actually caps off each end of a pipe and applies pressure. Now, we don't do that. On a water test, what we actually do is we go in and put a gauge on a hose bib or a valve, preferably like your washing machine. We put a gauge on there, we check what the city pressure is, and then we turn the water off at the meter. If the pressure drops down, we know there's a leak. Now, we didn't apply any pressure. We can't do anything to blow that apart. We just checked to see what the pressure was, and when the valve was shut off, did it happen? Now, there may be things that you run into on this. If it leaks down, now you may need to put a valve in the yard, a valve box, so you can isolate the yard from the house. You don't want us searching the yard forever if the leak's under the house. You don't want us searching the house forever if the leak's out in the yard. And also, you want to make sure the plumbing company that does this knows how to isolate it like that, but also can they isolate the irrigation system or an automatic fill on a swimming pool, because both those can make you lose pressure. Now, a sewer test is just a little bit different. We prefer a double clean out front. Some people call it a two-way clean out. We prefer a double clean out to where there's two clean outs going the opposite direction. Because what we like to do is stick a test ball down in one side where we can look in the side where the city is and make sure the water's not going past it. Now in the other side, we can fill that up to the slab level. Again, we're not putting any external pressure. Your plumbing system under your house was designed to make sure it holds water. This is just the way to test it. So what I'm going to start talking about now is the problems that we find once that happens. Because once we fill that water, if it goes down, that lets you know there's a leak on your side of the house. Once you do the sewer test and the water test, you'll know if you have a leak under that house. Think about it. You put a gauge on in the house, full pressure, say it's 80 PSI. You turn the valve off at the meter. It should not leak down. If it does, you need to double check and see, are there any leaks inside the house? Sewer's a little bit different. Once you fill it up, it should not leak down either. There's really nothing to look for other than look down the other side of that cleanout to see if any water is leaking by your test ball. Now, if there's another outside cleanout, you may want to walk around the house. If there's another outside cleanout that's lower, it could be leaking down there, but really that's about all there is. Some people want to tell you that they can look for a sewer leak with a camera. It's just not true. Think about it. If you've got a long piece of pipe and it's got a crack on it, running a camera inside, you may not be able to see that. This pipe is buried underground. Actually, it's buried about 2 or 3 feet underground. It's got a lot of mud around it, and to be honest, that crack could just look like a line on the side or top of the pipe. There's no way to guarantee there is a crack or isn't a crack unless you fill it with water and see if it holds water. Now, is this 100% accurate? It's pretty dadgum close. There may be roots growing in a hole that's plugging it up where it won't leak very good, but to be honest, doing a water test on the water system and a sewer test where you're filling it up with water is the most accurate way to test any system. Now, why is this important? There are some sellers that have a plumber come out and just run a camera through it and say, can you see anything? Well, number one, you can't always get that camera to see every line under the house. And sometimes, like I said, a crack you may not be able to see. Now, if there's a major break, if there's major roots getting in, anything like that, yes, that camera's going to see it just fine. And that's why we use that as part of the sewer isolation to determine where the leak is. Now, how does this benefit you as a home buyer knowing to do this test? Because these can be very costly repairs. But by knowing how to do this test and knowing as a real estate agent to recommend this test to your buyers, if there's a problem under a house, you talk to the seller before you buy the house and say, look, we're willing to pay for the test. If it's determined that there is a leak, you pay for the repairs. You don't want to buy a house with problems, do you? Well, here's the thing. It's their responsibility anyway. It is their problem to fix before they sell it to you. Now, a good way to negotiate that is just like I said. Here's where this benefits you to go ahead and pay for this test. If you like this house and you want it, those plumbing repairs can all be fixed. There's nothing there that can't be fixed. And if you let the seller know they have a leak under their house and we send them the document that we send you, now they have to disclose this to any other buyer. So as long as you still like this house, you're in a good position. There's not a problem that can't be fixed, and if it's fixed right, this plumbing system is going to last you a long time. The only thing you may get into is if it's leaking in one area and there's a possibility of leaks in other areas later. Think about it. If a leak happens here, it's possible the other lines could be getting ready to happen if they haven't already. So that's the only thing really you need to worry about. Now, why do you want to have this done before you buy the house? The reason we started specializing in this, one of my customers here in Richardson called me about 5 years ago. He said, Roger, I have friends that bought a house here 6 months ago. They are being told that they need $60,000 in repairs. Think about that. If you buy a $300,000 house, then you need to spend $60,000 to make the plumbing work. Do you want to pay for that? Or do you think that the seller should pay for that? If you're a real estate agent and you're not recommending this to your customers, I think there's a problem. If you're a homeowner, if you're a buyer, this is something, it's called insurance. Buy this, get it done, double check, make sure you don't have any problems. And a big thing to remember is if you're paying for this, you can probably get the seller to pay for the repairs. Those can be a lot more expensive. And if they've ever had any water damage inside the house, they can possibly get their insurance to cover part of it. How costly can these repairs be? I have seen sewer line repairs go up to $100,000. I've seen water line repairs go in the 20s. Do you have an extra $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 that you want to spend just making sure the plumbing works? I highly recommend doing the sewer water test before you fall in love with the house. If you've already fallen in love with it and you're willing to make an offer, make that a part of your process. If you do, it can save you a lot of money in the long run. If you know a home buyer or a real estate agent that you think might find this information valuable, please share this video with them. And if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on anything. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.